Victor Cuevas, and this is video accompanies the blog I'm writing, and it deals with conventional wisdom and the different options for investing for your real estate, namely separately managed accounts or SMAs. But here is an article a few days ago, May 9th, from the Business Insider, one of the websites that I get notices from. And the guy that is being interviewed by Joe Scioli is John Manley. Now, he is the chief equity strategist for Wells Fargo Bank. So he's the big investment guru. And so he has an introduction here into what's going on, and there's a lot of volatility. Not since 1993 has the volatility been so low, actually, in the market as it is now. And I want to ask some questions relating to that and some other things. So I wanted to touch on a few things here, not to make this very long on this segment, but here's one of the questions. What could actually derail this bull market? Well, folks, as you know, the market has been on a tear since Trump was elected, and of course before that it was going up steadily since '08 with a few hiccups along the way, but says nothing has been able to do it for years. The closest we've gotten in recent years was a sell-off in 2015 after the surprise yuan devaluation, so forth. So Manley goes this. He's the investment guru for Wells Fargo. He says, there's an old line that goes, the truck you see 400 yards down the road is not the truck that hits you. When you see these problems coming, they usually get diffused. Brexit may have been a surprise. Brexit is when England left the European Union. But we recognize it as something that could possibly happen. Now, what caused 2008? You know, that's the Great Recession, and the stock market went down 40 to 50%. What caused 2008, in my opinion, is that people just didn't see the risk. In other words, people like him. It's not saying me. These people that took on all that risk didn't think they had it. They thought they'd hitched it all away. As long as there's a perception of risk and a culture of looking for risk, it's going to be hard to deflate us. All right? Well, he's saying basically we're saying all the gurus got it wrong. The gurus that you and I are supposed to depend on. What could I do? Number one, if earnings fail, I know expectations have been going up for the past 4 or 5 months, but suppose they start to retreat. That would make me wrong, but it would also make the market go down. Contrarily, suppose earnings get really strong because the economy all of a sudden really wants to heat up, and you end up in the situation where there's 8 years of deferred spending and household formation. That could result in it getting overheated. I always think of the economy as going down a pretty broad road that has mud on either side for inflation and deflation. What hurts the market is when we unexpectedly swerve into one of those mud banks. Wow, I really learned a lot there. I mean, what could derail the market? I don't know. Maybe, if you go off the road on one side or you go on the other. Hey, if earnings fail, he's just can't give you a clear-cut answer. Is the stock market overvalued? People are diehard one way or the other. Some think we haven't seen valuations like this since the dot-com bubble and we're doomed to fail. And others think there's nothing to worry about. Where do you rest along that spectrum? In other words, folks, this market is just going crazy. It's really high, and people think it's overvalued, that the underlying factors just don't support stocks being that high. And so that's something to worry about. So here's what Manley says. Well, we're probably overvalued, but I prefer the term highly valued. Okay, it's sugar-coated a little bit. And we're at the low end of highly valued. So in other words, We're high, but we're on the lower end of that high, which means that if something bad happens at these valuations, at this high prices, if something bad happens, stocks will really go down harder than usual. But if nothing happens, they won't be pulled down by themselves. It's not cheap. In other words, folks, when he says stocks will go down harder than usual, if something bad happens like North Korea bombs Japan with a missile or something, or takes out an American warship, he says stocks would go down harder than usual. In other words, folks, it's going to be a bloodbath in the market if something like that happens. But he doesn't want to put it that way. The fundamentals that drive returns, better earnings, a Fed that's not going to try and choke off the economy, maybe tax cuts, certainly less difficult regulations. If those things happen, valuations can continue to go higher. If everything works beautifully, perfect, everything's going to continue to go. So what's his last paragraph to that answer about overvaluation? It's tough to use value as a timing tool. I think valuation is a product of what goes on in the marketplace, not a driver. Okay, folks, man has no clue. Okay, he has no clue if this market's going to crash or not. And he doesn't want to say anything that the media can go there later and come back to him and say, look, you got this all wrong. He could go this way, the other way. Who knows? If things don't happen right, they could go way down. Hey, if this thing happens this way, hey, everything's going to be cool. I mean, it's totally useless. And I'll finish off with this. More philosophically, the reporter asked, what's the best piece of advice you can give to an investor just starting out right now? So here's someone with some money. He just wants to start out in the market. And he gets in front of this guy who's supposed to be the master guru for Wells Fargo, the chief equity strategist. The man is supposed to know all this about the market. And here's what he says. Hey, be flexible. Don't be afraid to change your mind. If you're wrong, change your mind. If you go down the wrong path and you're down 10 to 11, hey, it's better to sell down 15 versus 50. If you have an idea that something is going to happen, you're predicting the future. And it's okay to be wrong. Where you go wrong is making a prediction that doesn't come true. When sticking with it. In other words, folks, look. Do whatever. Don't be afraid. Hey, if you make a wrong decision, hey, change your mind. No big deal. If your account drops 10 to 15%, go ahead and get out. Okay. The only time you're wrong is if you don't sell soon enough and you sell, when it's down 50%, then you're wrong. But you're never really wrong. If things don't work out the way you think, just change your mind and you'll be okay. I mean, I tell people the biggest mistake I won't even read that paragraph. Let's go to the last paragraph. Be flexible. Being flexible is incredibly important. Well, do you think you can change your mind? I understand not wanting to flit around, jumping at something little, but you also need to ask yourself if the reasons you're in an investment are still the reasons you should be. It's hard for your ego and it's hard to call clients, but you have to do it. Now, this last one, he reverted back to what he does. He says it's hard. Hey, don't let your ego get in the way. Go ahead and call your client and say, I messed it all up and it's time to change. Folks, this is conventional wisdom. And there's nothing here for you and me. Hardly anything. The guy is he's just walking a tightrope. That's it. So that's just the way it is out there. I read these things day in and day out, and it's not helpful. So here's Fisher Investments. Now, this guy that runs this organization is called Ken Fisher. He thinks he's the greatest gift that God ever bestowed upon the financial world. He will flat tell you, I would rather die and go to hell than sell an annuity. That's his exact words. Very unethical statement to make for a man that claims to be Mr. Ethical. He runs an investment firm. They're a fee-only firm. Now, let me explain what that means. That means they don't take any commissions. They only work on fees. So if your sole income is fees, you want to take a real hard look at those fees. So he goes in here, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but if you read it, he'll tell you how good he is and how long he's been doing this, how famous he is, how much he cares about you. It's all about you. I'm a fiduciary. I have to put your needs first, this, that. I'm so transparent. So many times he says, I'm transparent, transparent, transparent. Well, let's see how transparent he really is. We'll go over here to the About section here and go down to company information. We'll go down to his fees. Because this is a guy that tell you, stay away from commission guys. They're just out to rip you off. So here's our simple, transparent fee structure. Okay. At Fisher Investments, we understand the issues fees rise. Yeah, people want to know about them. Hence, we offer a simple and transparent, competitive, flat fee based on your portfolio size. It is designed to be easy to understand and put your interest first. No hidden commissions, extra service charges, or taking unnecessary risk for hedge fund-like returns, high returns. We're not going to go crazy to get you some high returns. Now, he says this about easy to understand and put your interest first, and no hidden commissions and no extra charges or anything like that. That's not what he does. But look at this. The only additional fee you will incur are trading fees directly billed by the third-party custodian housing your portfolio. But we want to keep these as low as possible too, since our revenue is based on your portfolio size. In other words, you're going to give you money to him. He's going to turn around and put it over with this third-party custodian, and they have their own set of fees. You see, and well, you're going to have to pay him. Well, what are those fees? You're not going to find out on this website. You're not even going to find out Mr. Fisher's fees. But then he says, well, we want to keep them as low as possible. Really? No commissions, he says. We believe Fisher's investment fees are often lower than other firms. Why? Many asset managers charge commissions on products they sell in addition to management fees. Some, like annuity commissions, can be upwards of 10%. That's a lie right there. This creates huge conflicts of interest. Really. Often better and more affordable products exist, but commissioned financial professionals are incentivized to sell products providing high returns for them. In other words, folks, don't deal with these guys. They get paid by commissions. They will only sell you something with the highest commissions because it's all about them. Really. All commissioned licensed professionals only care about themselves and to getting the highest commissions they can and could care less about their clients. How long do you think any of them would stay in business working that way? Come on, folks. That's such an unethical statement to make that against people he doesn't even know, as if he is the most ethical guy out there. Lastly, it says some firms base their fees on performance, claiming it encourages mutually successful investing. Hey, but performance-based fees may mean the manager chases short-term returns to maximize fee collections and shuns proper risk management in the process. In other words, hey, look, don't worry about performance. I mean, these guys out there that are trying to show you their performance and tell you, like, we perform better than they look, they're going to take risk that they shouldn't take, and they just want to boost your account balance so that they can make fees. That's dangerous. In other words, he's preparing you for their low returns. Bolsonaro, and then it talks about the other ones. And then it says, but you get, and then he says, some other firms will charge you less fees. Hey, don't go with those guys either. In other words, he wants to set you up for his fees, which might be high. That's fine if managing your life savings is your forte and you are always cool-headed and rational about markets. But your idea of a splendid return is research and management. In other words, hey, you want to go cheap and be involved yourself. Hey, you know what? If you're always cool-headed, you're rational about the markets. In other words, you don't go crazy when the market goes down. In other words, look, trust us. We can do this better than you, and we won't be so crazy. We'll be cool-headed about this stuff. Kind of condescending to me. When comparing portfolio management services, remember fees misaligned with your interests can jeopardize your retirement goals. That's why at Fisher Investments, we believe a straightforward investment strategy with transparent fees based on the size of your assets is the best way to help clients. When we succeed, our clients succeed. Well, where are your fees? I don't see them. Oh, look, fees right here. Oh, it's the same one here. So he never says fees. Well, what about performance? He says, oh, don't talk to those guys who want to show you the performance. Well, I would like to know if your money management has done well over the last year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I mean, I can go to Vanguard or a mutual fund or the other sites and go on their website and I can see what their track record is. Well, why don't you show me your track record? Well, let's see what he says about performance. I don't see anything about track record here. He says, many investors make hiring decisions based on historical performance. That's a dangerous practice. We don't think you should base your hiring decisions purely on past returns. In other words, don't ask us about our returns, how well we've done. That's dangerous. Don't worry about that. We'll do a good job for you. It says, no manager can promise matching past returns, consistent outperformance, or investment without down risk potential. In other words, nobody can say you're going to outperform the market most of the time. Hey, we can't. Hey, those past returns, we can't guarantee past returns. Therefore, don't worry about past returns because no one can guarantee them. So they may never happen again. That's ludicrous, folks. Or investing without downside potential. Of course, there's downside potential. Markets are forward-looking, not backwards. Don't be looking backwards. Don't check our past performance. And you cannot buy past returns. In other words, don't let past returns dictate your decision on who you're going to hire as a money manager. In other words, you can be a great money manager, have a great history of performing well for your clients, but you can't show that to your clients. Guess what Ken Fisher is saying? He says, hey, you can't base your decisions on past performance. No. It's unbelievable. And it finishes off by saying, selling performance is Wall Street's way of playing to your greed. At Fisher Investments, we believe that isn't in your best interest, so we don't lead with it. In other words, Wall Street is just playing on your greed by saying, hey, look at our past returns. No, I think it's reasonable. Look, we do a great job. We have a good track record of doing a great job for your money. I mean, there's no guarantees. Your money can go up or it can go down. That's for sure. But we have a good track record. Track records are important, but he wants to downsize it. So he goes into realistic expectations and then our performance. We strive to keep you on pace to meet your financial goals over your portfolio's time horizon. We do not expect to achieve positive returns every day, month, quarter, or year. Well, when will you have positive returns? The rate of withdrawal from an account can profoundly impact the long-term success of a portfolio. In some cases, more so than the investment return. In other words, folks, look, I don't know if your account is going to do good or bad. And if it's doing bad, don't pull your money out because that could even be worse for you. Oh my goodness, folks! This guy is a work of art here. He wants to badmouth everybody, but he doesn't want to give you his past returns, and he doesn't want to even tell you what his fees are. You'll have to call him, and he's going to try to razzle and dazzle with all this cool stuff and all his history of how great a guy he is and what a fantastic firm he is and all this experience he has and everything. And you go, yeah, man, sign me up. And then he's going to hit you with the fees, and you go, well, I mean, I guess. That's not the way to do business. By contrast, here's another firm. I'm not going to go through this whole stuff, but he tells about each individual person here in the firm and what they do and the code of ethics and frequently asked questions. And oh my goodness, look at here. That's his fee structure. Well, why doesn't Fisher Investments put that fee structure in there? Well, here's another thing you need to know. The minimum amount of assets that a client must place under management to open a separately managed account is $1 million. So much for the middle class. Now, Fisher didn't even tell you what the minimum investment on his website, but I've seen his commercials, and he says $500,000. And if you've got $500,000 of investable assets, give us a call. And before that, you've just been a beginner guy in mutual funds and everything and building. Now it's time to graduate and go work with the big boys. Give us our money and we'll get you out of those mutual funds and we'll manage it. Well, we're not going to manage. We're going to put it with these other portfolio managers. We're just going to watch it for you. Anyway, these guys are a little bit more upfront. And you see, for the first $1 million you give them, they're going to take 1.25% out of that money every year. They usually spread it over 4 quarters. A quarter now, a quarter of that next 3 months, like that. But, look over here. The investment advisory fee will be deducted from your account and paid directly to our firm by qualified custodians of your account. And it goes on to say that, but right here. Brokerage expenses and or transaction ticket fees charged by the qualified custodian are billed directly to you by the qualified custodian. Bright Investments does not receive any portion of such commissions or fees from you or the qualified custodian. In addition, you may incur certain charges imposed by third parties other than the Bright Investments in connection, other than this 1.25, you may get charged other fees by third-party investments made through your account, including but not limited to mutual fund sales loads, 12B1 fees, which are management fees, and surrender charges, and IRA and qualified retirement plan fees, and charges imposed by the qualified custodian of your account. All right, folks. Now, Ken Fisher Investments had something similar to that. Here's what I want you to know, folks, and this is why I'm hoping you're sticking with this video, because I'm educating you on the real world out there. And what I'm showing you here is stuff that the vast majority of people don't know. You go to this guy, if you had this money, $1 million, and you give it to him, he's taking 1.25 a year minimum. Once it goes beyond that, he takes, the next 9 million takes 1%, the next 40 million takes 0.95%. So average, it's over 1%. That doesn't include any of these other fees he's talking about, which could be 1 to 1.5% more. You just don't know. You have no clue, folks. But let's compare me and other people like me to these fee-only advice. Now, remember, I used to be a fee-based one. I used to do commissions and have some investments and fees. But let's suppose I do a fixed annuity, not a variable annuity, but a fixed annuity. And he comes to me with $1 million and he puts it in there. I'm going to make 7% commission. I'm going to get paid $70,000. That money does not come out of his account. The insurance company that issues that annuity is going to pay me that $70,000. That the client will have to keep his money in that annuity for 7 years, some of them up to 10 years. And every year he can pull some of that money out without any penalty, but it's like a CD. The money has to stay in there during that time period. But this is, like Ken Fisher said on his website, long-term investment. Money that he doesn't need for many years. It's retirement money. Got me, folks? So I make $70,000. A nice payday. I'm going to be very happy to get $70,000 for that one piece of business. Now, this investment firm is going to get $12,500 the first year. But year two is going to get, and let's suppose this account stays at $1 million, never grows in the market at all. Well, you know it's going to grow somewhat. But let's just make it simple. So for the next 10 years, that's $12,500. At the end of 10 years, folks, the account, this firm has received $125,000 in income from this account. Minimum. If it grows to $2 million in that time, it's going to be a lot more than the $125,000. That does not include all these other fees down here that are also going to come out of that money. You follow me, folks? At the end of 10 years, my client, I got paid $70,000, and that was it. And if he didn't choose to have any riders or options put on that annuity, he has 0 fees. You still with me, folks? So at the end of 10 years, I still only get paid $70,000, but they've gotten paid well into the 6 figures. And who knows how much more money's come out that didn't even go to this firm. It went to third-party people. And during that time, it is totally conceivable that that account could be pretty close to where he started. That has happened in the past. Where 10 years go by in the market and you're back where you started because it went way up and then it came crashing back down. Whereas with an annuity, he's going to get something every year no matter what. He's never, ever going to go down in value. No risk, no worry. His money's going to be there and it's going to be growing nicely the whole time. And all I got paid was $70,000. So now when you look at my commission, hey, I got ripped off. I could have made 100 and something thousand, but I got $70,000. Now, if a customer comes to me and he has $1 million and I put him in an annuity and I do a great job, which I will do a great job, and he's very happy, which will be happy because he's never going to ever lose money. Am I just going to walk away from that guy and say, hey, I don't need to talk to you anymore? No. Do you think he might do business with me in the future? Yeah. Do you think he has family member or friends or other business associates that might want to do business with me? Of course. Am I licensed? Yes. When he comes to me, do I have to do a whole financial workup on him? Do I have to do a complete consultation? Do I have to make sure that the investment is suitable for him and that will meet his long-term needs just the way he needs to have them met? Of course, the same thing these guys got to do, I've got to do because I'm licensed as well. But I collected a commission. And to Ken Fisher and other people that are in the fee-only world, I'm the bad guy. No. Not true at all. So now you know the truth, folks, that over the long term, these fee-only guys will always make a whole lot more money than the commission guys. They won't guarantee anything in the market. And you'll never know exactly what is going to come out of your account because they have all these third-party fees coming out. I have seen it, folks, in the past where a fee-only account was upwards of 4%. It was a long time ago, but I've seen it. And so, don't believe the rhetoric that some of these people give. Are separately managed accounts bad? I'm not saying they're bad. Ken Fisher says annuities are bad. I'm not going to say separate what he does is bad. For some people, a separately managed account may work for them. But you have to understand that you will pay out a lot more money long term to a fee-only advisor than you will ever pay to a commission-based guy. I'm just saying. And there's not any guarantees. And if your account tanks 20-30%, you're still going to pay those fees. Now, his income is going to go down because his income is based on 1% or 1.25% of your total account value. So if your total account value goes down 20%, he's going to take a 20% pay cut, but you're still going to pay him. You understand, folks? You're still going to pay him. If I put you in a fixed annuity, you will never lose a dime. Never. Period. So that's the video. That's what I wanted you guys to know, so you can make smarter decisions when you start hearing this stuff on TV. You can when you hear these guys, these supposed gurus talk, you have to realize that as smart as this guy is here, he still doesn't have a clue. Doesn't have a crystal ball. He can give you all the advice in the world, and tomorrow your money can go down 20 or 30%. It can. Because that's just the market. And you're still going to pay these guys. Anyway, any questions? You just contact me. My contact information is on the website. God bless.